What's the most heartbreaking decision you've ever made to protect your child? I sent my 15-year-old son away to live with his aunt because staying with me was literally killing him. Jordan had always been this bright, funny kid who could make anyone laugh. He'd do these stupid voices while reading cereal boxes at breakfast, and somehow turn grocery shopping into a comedy show. But halfway through his freshman year, something changed. He stopped doing the voices, stopped hanging out with his friends, started spending all his time in his room with the door shut. I worked nights at the county hospital, so I'd leave for my shift around 8 and come home at 6 in the morning. Jordan would already be gone for school, and when I got up in the afternoon, he'd grunt hello and disappear back upstairs. The school called twice about missed assignments. His grades dropped from A's to C's to barely passing. When I tried talking to him, he'd just shrug and say he was fine, just tired. Then came that Tuesday night in March. I was pulling a double shift because 2 nurses called out sick. Around midnight, my phone buzzed with a missed call from Jordan. He'd left a voicemail. "Hey mom, just wanted to hear your voice. I know you're busy saving lives and stuff. Love you." His voice sounded weird, flat, but I was dealing with a cardiac emergency and couldn't call back right away. At 6 the next morning, I found him. He was unconscious on his bedroom floor with an empty bottle of my leftover pain medication from last year's surgery scattered around him. The paramedics said if I'd been even 30 minutes later, he wouldn't have made it. 3 days in the ICU, 2 weeks in the psychiatric ward, and that's when I found out everything. Kids at school had been messaging him horrible stuff online for months. They'd created fake social media accounts to send him death threats and tell him he was worthless. They posted embarrassing photos they'd photoshopped and shared them with the whole school. Jordan never told me because he thought I had enough stress with work and bills. He'd been handling it alone until he couldn't anymore. The doctor said taking away his phone and laptop completely would just isolate him more. He needed to stay connected, just in a healthier environment. But those kids were still at his school, still in our town. That's when I made the hardest decision of my life. My sister Amy lived 2 hours away in this tiny farming town. Her kids had grown up and moved out, and she'd always said Jordan could visit anytime. So I called her. I legally gave her temporary guardianship. Not forever, but long enough for Jordan to finish high school somewhere safe, somewhere those kids couldn't reach him. When I told Jordan, he looked at me like I'd ripped his heart out. "You're sending me away?" His voice cracked. "I almost died, and now you don't want me around?" I wanted to grab him and never let go. I wanted to keep him close where I could watch him breathe and make sure he was okay. But keeping him close meant keeping him where he'd tried to die. "I'm not sending you away," I told him. "I'm sending you somewhere you can heal." He cried. I cried. We both cried for hours. That weekend, I drove him to Amy's with 3 garbage bags of clothes and his gaming setup. He barely spoke to me the entire ride. When we got there, he hugged Amy but wouldn't even look at me when I said goodbye. For 2 months, he wouldn't take my calls. Amy would text me updates, but Jordan wanted nothing to do with me. I'd drive out there every Saturday and sit in Amy's kitchen while he stayed in his room. But slowly, things started changing. Amy's town had this weird thing where everyone knew everyone, and somehow that felt safer to Jordan. He started going to the local diner after school, made friends with some kid who raised sheep for 4-H, joined the school's video editing club, and finally, one Saturday in May, he came downstairs while I was visiting. "Mom," he said quietly, "want to see the video I made for film class?" We sat on Amy's couch and watched this 5-minute documentary he'd made about small town life. It was beautiful. He was talking again, laughing again, making jokes about the sheep kid's weird hobby. That's when he finally told me why he'd stopped taking my calls. "I thought you gave up on me," he said. "I thought sending me here meant you couldn't handle having a broken kid." I hugged him so tight, I probably cracked his ribs. Jordan graduated from Amy's tiny school with a 3.8 GPA.